The prelude to our story begins in Ireland. An elderly man removes some chunks of dirt from the ground to put them in a wheelbarrow. He carries them to a large pile nearby. After taking a break to eat near his workplace, he continues with his job of removing dirt. Eventually, he finds something. He looks at the object confusedly. Then he removes some more dirt to find a hand in the earth. This discovery brings worry to him, making the man leave. We see the dirt moving. The man does not run away, although he probably should have. He just went to collect his flashlight to get a better look at what he found. It doesn't take long for something or someone to drag him into the water. He manages to escape with an injury. After that foreboding introduction, we start seeing what happened earlier that day. A couple rides along a road. The first thing we get to hear them talk about is the man's haircut. He is Mark, telling his girlfriend, Sarah, his hair was that short when they met. She says it wasn't. She tells him that if she saw him somewhere with that hair, she would have avoided him. What she just said makes her laugh. Mark replies that people can get their hair cut without it leading to marriage. Since he landed on that topic, he asks her why anyone would get married. Sarah starts saying that it shows two people love each other. Mark has to interject quickly to disagree. As she keeps giving her reasons, he keeps disagreeing. To him, marriage means slavery. For some reason, he also connects it to the 1800s. Mark thinks that waking up to choose to be with someone every day is where true commitment resides. Once one is legally bound to someone, it becomes slavery. Despite saying all this, he doesn't completely disregard the idea of him ever marrying. While they ride, Mark gives a gun wave to a passing car. Sarah tells him that is not how one waves. His hands should never leave the wheel, and he should just use one finger. So he tries using it on the next people they see on the road. After using it on 2 consecutive people, he finds they return the favor. Mark becomes delighted, saying they are accepting him as one of them. He then does it to a pedestrian, but it doesn't work this time. The third time is not the charm. This prompts him to give the man the other one-finger greeting. Sarah tells him not to do that, looking back to check if the man saw it. They keep riding, to eventually hear their GPS say that it's recalculating. Sarah tells him this isn't the road, yet the confident man says it is. Since her phone keeps recalculating the route, Mark jokingly says to throw it away. In a different area, she wants him to turn around. He should have listened to her, because their car gets stuck in the mud. He tries to reverse his way out. Seeing the futility of it, Sarah advises him to stop or he will wreck the car. Their plan becomes Mark pushing the car, while she takes it in reverse. Instead of making progress, he falls. Plan C involves Sarah calling her dad. For some reason, Mark does not want her to call him. Lucky for him, Plan C fails too, due to there being no signal to call anyone. Mark gets the idea to go find a house. He tells her to stay in the car even though she wants to come with him, so he goes looking. We soon see that it has become darker, and her boyfriend still hasn't returned. As she sits in the car, we vaguely see movement in the background. She adjusts her rear view mirror to see if anyone is there. Not seeing anyone, she gets out of the car. Sarah opens the trunk to take out some cigarettes from the luggage. She smokes one while sitting on the trunk. Again, we vaguely witness movement behind her. Afterward, we switch to Mark's search. He arrives at a house, where he sees dozens of tires lying on the ground nearby. Nothing stops this determined man from climbing the fence. Coming closer to the house, its lights turn on to his presence. He knocks on the door several times, only to receive no answer. Therefore, he goes around to the back door. Knocking on it causes the door to open by itself. Just like climbing the fence, he lets himself in to ask if anyone is there. He describes his situation to anyone that might be present. The interior seems to be somewhat of a mess. He keeps searching the house, asking if anyone is there. In several seconds, he returns to the entrance, where he finds a man there with his back toward Mark. He's breathing heavily. Mark starts talking to him, yet the man acknowledges him in no way. He falls on the couch, making Mark start tending to him. At this point, we should notice the man he's tending to is the one from the beginning who got injured. Mark sees his injury and asks what happened to his neck. He turns around to get a towel for a few seconds, only to discover the man has quickly shifted locations upon facing him again. Whatever happened to this elderly man in the water, it certainly transformed him. Mark attempts to apply the towel to his injury. Returning to Sarah, she exits the car into the night. She turns on the headlights to get a better view. It's not scary yet. Suddenly, Mark appears to give her the first dose of fear. He informs her there is a farmhouse not too far from the car. Instead of them getting their needed help, he says the man in the house needs help. She can only question what he means with concern. Mark gets her to come with him. As they walk there, he explains the man's unfortunate situation. He was also mumbling to Mark, making it hard to understand him. The couple walks at night to a house they are strangers to, and Mark has the nerve to scare his girlfriend during that time. Of course, she insults him for that. Arriving there, they climb the fence together. He mentions the lights being on earlier, because now they are off. Inside the house, he tries turning on the light, but it doesn't work. Looking for the injured man also gets him nothing. We see him walking behind Sarah. Soon he scares them by running past the couple upstairs. With that unsettling happening, sane people who are not equipped to deal with such weirdness would leave the house. However, our heroes are brave or foolish, especially Mark. Going up the stairs to follow him, he whispers to Sarah that the man's neck is bleeding. Mark holds a flashlight, yelling out to the injured man that he returned. Yet the elderly man ignores his call. They enter a room that has an old computer. Mark turns on a lamp near it, allowing him to briefly see the man behind Sarah. He becomes confused, saying the man was just there. At that moment, a rational thought activates in Sarah's mind, manifested by her urging Mark to leave the house. But he is a man who intends to finish what he set out to do. Continuing with his search, a cabinet opens behind him for something to fall out. Right after that, a door opens, and the man jumps on him. Sarah picks up the flashlight to shine at the elderly man. It causes him to jump out of the window. Sarah sees him lying outside. They come outside, where the man no longer lies. His blood marks are all that remain. Mark finally agrees with her that they should leave. Walking back to the car, Sarah tells him once again this isn't the way. We learn they have been walking for 20 minutes. It sparks an argument between them. On top of that, she takes his flashlight away to start waving it in his face. She does this because she accuses him of moving it around aimlessly. While she does it, he falls into the water. It seems like it's the same place where the elderly man fell. She calls out to Mark several times. Shortly after, he emerges, and she helps take him out. He panics, telling her something grabbed him. They start running, yet resort to soon falling on the ground because Sarah sees something. There is a silhouette of someone walking nearby. This prompts her to abandon the plan to return to their car. She thinks going back to the farmhouse would be better. Mark counts to 3 before they get up to run. Upon returning to the house, Sarah wants to know what was out there. We see someone moving behind them as the couple runs through the stables. They try to open a door that doesn't open. While they try, things start falling from above. One of them injures Sarah. Another falls on the light to break it. The duo manages to break through the door without attaining serious injury. They attempt to shut the door to secure themselves, but the monster's hand reaches through the opening. Even after both of them apply enough force to lock the door, the action proves to be fruitless. The monster just breaks the door open to push Mark back. His flashlight breaks in the process. The monster, not seen too well due to being cloaked in darkness, throws Mark around the room for a short time. Sarah figures out that she has to use her phone light to keep it away. Then she runs upstairs to take the lamp, so she can shine its light on the steps. When the monster starts climbing, this more intense light will deliver damage. In a few seconds, she peeks down to look for Mark. The monster gives her a surprise by grabbing her. After freeing herself from his hold, she yells out to her boyfriend to use his phone light. Unfortunately, he is currently being handled by the monster. This makes Sarah rush down to pick up his phone. She uses its light to free Mark. Attempting to take him upstairs, she learns he is too injured to climb it, so they resort to hiding in a washroom. We see how much Mark suffers as they stay there. She inspects his leg to find serious wounds on it. All she can do is use a towel to wrap around it. She follows this action by hugging him. We don't know where the couple was going when we first saw them, but wherever it was, they could not have imagined they would end up hiding in a dark farmhouse from some humanoid monster. Their lives have quickly taken a turn for the worse. Sarah uses the sink to wash her face. Soon she observes a shadow move outside the window. Since it's out there, she starts taking Mark out of the room to climb upstairs. They struggle to climb because of his injuries, yet they make it this time, arriving near the lamp. Some refuge has been granted to the couple, sitting there with their armor of light. Afterward, Sarah hears something on the roof. For the most part, their situation remains quiet for some time, with the tension rising. However, large moments of rest are not allowed. Mark says he smells smoke. His brave girlfriend ventures downstairs to investigate what it could be. Mark is against her doing it, though what choice do they have? After looking there, she reports that the stove is emitting smoke. She believes the monster is trying to smoke them out. This brings the lady to wrap the bottom part of her face with some fabric, prior to going down again. Getting back there, Sarah starts messing with the stove. The place is full of dangerous smoke, causing her to cough. Her singular solution is to open the door for the smoke to start exiting the house. With one problem out of the way, another appears. Sarah looks at her phone to see it has low battery. Once it goes out, she won't be able to use the light on it. Our heroine falls to the ground to collect herself. It lasts for a few seconds before she returns to the house. In there, she stealthily takes a sharp object to stab the monster's foot. She then hides in the washroom again. It opens the door, but doesn't see her hiding, for she is in the cabinet. As the monster walks inside the house, a spider crawls on Sarah's face. Noticing it, she tries not to make a sound, though a slight sound is exactly what she makes. The monster turns around. We briefly see from its point of view that it has night vision. Not catching her a second time, it walks away, giving her a chance to escape from the cabinet. She turns off her phone, and now the monster sees her. Lucky for her, she manages to run upstairs, where a strong emanation of light exists to prevent the beast from following her further. We see again from its point of view how intense the luminosity of the lamp light is. Mark fell asleep at a time like this, prompting her to wake him up. She asks him how he's feeling. The man has seen better days. He wants them to stay there until the ultimate source of light arrives, the sun. When it does, they run away. Yet Sarah does not think it's a good idea for them to stay there. She looks out the window, seeing the monster. She has a moment to wonder what it is, along with how it got there. Unfortunately, she might never receive answers to those thoughts. After that, she takes the lamp to run elsewhere with it. We see the monster takes this opportunity to move toward them. Once it approaches, Sarah turns on the lamp to send it away. It is now placed in an area not too distant from where it was. She looks out the window, seeing a tractor there. It isn't even that far away. The time has arrived for the couple to make progress, so she helps Mark start walking. She lays him near the lamp, instructing him to shine the light on her while she runs to the tractor. Sarah kisses him before taking off. It's good that she did that, because it could be their last one. As she descends the stairwell, Mark does what she told him to do. Upon yelling to him that she's at the back door, he shines the light from the window onto her outside. He tries keeping it on her as she moves out there, like a spotlight. However, after she jumps the fence, the light vanishes for some reason. She yells for Mark to turn it back on, but that doesn't happen. We wonder what could have happened there for Sarah to experience such misfortune. With the light off, the monster starts drawing near her. She makes it into the tractor anyway. Although she's sitting in there, the frightened lady is upset due to not seeing the key. While searching for them, the monster enters the vehicle to injure her. The keys to it happen to be on him. After taking them, she stabs the monster in the eye with a knife. Sarah is now forced to exit the tractor to hide behind its massive wheel. Only when the monster leaves is she able to re-enter. With the keys now at her disposal, she starts the machine. Its headlights give the monster big trouble, so much that they turn his eyes to stone. She complements this petrification by slamming into him, crushing him like dry clay. This is a joyful victory without a doubt. The tractor is a great device, possessing lights and strength. Then she comes back for Mark and sees he's just sitting there wounded. Despite him being in this condition, it's odd that she doesn't even ask him why he stopped shining the light. Sarah helps him get up for them to escape this chaos. Once they arrive downstairs, Mark suddenly slams her down. After that, he uses his newfound strength to break the lights on the tractor. He also doesn't need help moving anymore. Of course, from observing all this, we know he has transformed into a monster. One went down, only for another to take its place. Sarah has to run back up. He comes up too as she hides. When he comes near, she lights her lighter, sending him off the ledge onto the stairs. She looks at him lying there, possibly wondering what happened to her boyfriend. In a nearby drawer, Sarah finds some candles, along with a triple pedestal for them. She now walks holding 3 lit candles at once. Mark is still lying on the stairs. She carefully descends past him. While she does, a small box drops from his hand. The lady picks it up to pocket it. We can guess what's in there. If our guess is correct, we should remember what Mark thinks about marriage. Despite his disapproval of the concept, he still planned to gift Sarah a ring. Following this, she starts dragging him outside. Another monster jumps on the roof of the tractor at that moment. This unfortunate circumstance changes her plan to remain in the house. She drags Mark into the washroom. In there, she ties his hands together. She takes the safe time to look at the box he dropped, though she refuses to open it. Suddenly, Mark starts coming at her, but with restrained hands, he has a hard time dealing damage. In a strange voice, he tells her to get out of there. There is still some humanity left in him. That small amount is spent to tell the one he loves to save herself. Sarah uses a spray on her candles to blow their fire his way. Upon leaving the washroom, her candles go out. She turns on the television in the other room. It displays nothing except static, yet that's all she needs. She also lights some paper with a match, using it to keep the monstrous Mark away from her. The paper, however, burns fast. She leaves the house to enter an outhouse. Through an opening in the shabby building, Mark grabs her to pull the lady toward him. Her lighting a match is what saves her. She tries talking to him, telling him to stop. Alas, he is too metamorphosed to hear her. She then finds a light switch and turns on the lamp there. We don't see it, but we hear how Mark stops moving. Sarah sits there, exhausted, trying to collect herself. We observe her coming to him, by way of her shadow coming to his. Once she touches him, we see his shadow falling apart like dry clay. There it is. That was Sarah's last day with Mark. On the wall, she finds a tool that she collects. She uses it, along with a platter, to remove her ring finger that Mark damaged. She does this to prevent herself from transforming into a monster. Afterward, Sarah tends to her wound, feeling the pain of a severed finger. She wastes no time by spilling the collected blood on the platter onto the ground. She follows this by turning off the lights. It is a plan to draw the final monster to her. When it appears, she turns them back on. Much to her dismay, they simply flicker for less than 1 second. The poor lady resorts to running outside. The monster grabs onto her coat, yet she frees herself by removing it. Sarah goes into the house and sees she has only 3 matches left. She lights one to slowly walk with it in that dark, intimidating house. Its lifespan isn't even 30 seconds long, so she lights the penultimate matchstick. That one decides to mimic the longevity of its predecessor. They aren't offering much help to our surviving heroine, who sees the monster walking outside. In a short time, it reaches its grotesque hand out to her from the window. Thankfully, she escapes into another room, and the monster does not break through the window to come after her. Sarah finds a stick there that she wraps in some fabric. There is also flammable liquid in that area, which she uses to pour onto the fabric. She uses her final match in the best way, by lighting that fabric on fire, acquiring a torch. The monster is now with her, though she can deal with it. The next scene has her finding a lantern elsewhere. Now she runs with that, and even better utensil for harboring light. It is her weapon, in addition to her armor. Running for a while, she eventually starts climbing over lifeless trees. The monster is nearby, trying to stay clear of her lantern. A small misfortune occurs when she drops it as she climbs. It's small because the lantern is close to her, and thankfully it is undamaged. Reaching out to it, though, Sarah can't get it. She does this while hiding under a tree, seeing the ugly creature above her. Once it leaves, she collects her precious lantern to keep moving. She steps down into a muddy area with force, her foot landing on a sharp object. This impalement is even worse than her severed finger, for it diminishes her movement to a large degree. She has to crawl in the mud. She crawls to an area where she spots a gas can. This desperate moment prompts her to walk to it, despite her serious wound. After she pours it on the ground around her, the monster approaches her. Sarah shatters her lantern on the ground to ignite the liquid, which starts burning the monster. It was a good attempt to bring it down, but it has a bad finish because the creature falls into the water. It doesn't take long for it to come back out to attack Sarah. For some reason, it soon gets up without claiming her. We see what that reason is. The monster has the object that impaled Sarah's foot stuck to its chest. She managed to take it out to end it. Then morning comes with the rising of the sun. It arrived somewhat late for the lady in trouble, who starts limping her way to safety. She sits before the sun, and it is uncertain whether she got infected by the monster in her last duel with it. The effect probably takes some time to kick in. Our story concludes prior to us learning whether the sun ends up destroying her or not.